Mike, theists who I speak with who would like to convince me that God exists really put a great deal of emphasis on God's control, so-called God's providence, that God's in absolute control, is going to make everything happen just the way God promised and fulfill his promises. How important to you is this concept of providence, God's capacity to control everything that will happen?
From my view, it's difficult to have God too much in control. I have it the other way around, where so here's how it works on my view. You get all of these possible worlds, and God sort of has to deal with what he's dealt. So if you think of the worlds as kind of cards being dealt to you, right? That's what he gets. And
well, what he gets, it's all the possibilities.
Yeah, he gets all the possibilities. So no matter what he does here, he's going to realize some other world over here, right? So there's not a lot of space in the view. I think this is probably a problem for me. There's not a lot of space in the view I hold for God to be really deeply invested in controlling the worlds, right? There are some worlds in which things are highly controlled. There are some worlds in which that's not the case, I think. So that's an objection to the kind of view I'm defending, that if you think of possibilities, every possibility is being open to him, and he can't make there be fewer possibilities, he can't make there be more possibilities.
Okay, I can accept that, that God finds himself with all the possibilities.
Yes.
Whatever there are, can't make them fewer or less, but he can actualize, make real the ones he chooses, or not.
Yeah, that's true, but all of these, that's exactly right. There's only one actual world.
Well, he could do multiple actual worlds.
Oh, right. I mean,
but he makes an affirmative decision with all the possibilities out there. The possibilities, he has no choice.
Correct.
What the choice is, which ones he makes real.
Depends on what you mean by real. Yeah, I mean, what you make actual.
Actual.
Okay,
actual.
great.
Sorry, right.
Yeah,
right,
so,
right,
so we actualize
all the possibilities are real.
Yeah, they're all real things. Yeah.
They're all real possibilities.
Yeah.
But God has a choice in making which real possibilities into real actual worlds.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, it's true. It's true. But, don't take your eye off the other worlds. That's what I'm urging.
Okay.
Keep your eye on the other worlds, because whatever he does there, he could have done here. Those are real possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't think, he did this. So there's a temptation to think they're just possible. They couldn't be actual. No. If they're really possible, they could be actual. Anything that's possible is possibly actual.
Right.
I would urge. Okay, so
now how does this affect God's providence, though?
I think that, sort of, if you think of God as sort of deeply providential, then it would look to you like, I think, the range of possible worlds is probably more limited than it is, right?
Or the range of possibilities are all out there, but God just chooses a much more limited subset of that, and of the ones he will actualize, or only won't actualize one of them. Yeah,
this is you're thinking this way. You're thinking what really matters is the one he actualizes, but that's not what I'm urging. That's not what really it does really matter.
Okay,
but not the only thing that matters. So you think, okay. This is the one he actualizes, but there are these other possibilities, and if they're possible, there is literally no reason why God could not have actualized that world instead. Okay?
Correct.
So the actual world isn't special in that respect, that it's actual, these others are possible, and they couldn't be actual. No, they're possible, and they could be actual.
So you are shrinking the distinction between what God actualizes and the real possibilities that God could actualize, that the distance between those, which I'm making very stark,
yes.
You're making very thin.
I think you should play down the difference between possibility and actuality when it comes to God.
Okay.
Because it's easy for us to think, what really matters is what's actual, because this is where I am. Okay. And I think that's how I think.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the actual, not my counterpart in some other worlds.
Right.
Okay. But God's in all those worlds. So when God, right, so he's literally in every possible world. So what he does here affects what happens in these other worlds too, it turns out. So he's making decisions concerning all of logical space, right? That's how you've got to think about it.
Is, though, God making decisions in all of logical space, or is all of logical space imposing itself on God?
The latter. I agree with that. That's the hand he finds himself with. And
what type of active process does he have in any of those possible worlds?
Well, let me say this. His divine activity, his providence, if you think of providence as somehow affecting what could happen or what might happen, it doesn't. It can't.
But it affects what does happen, not what could happen.
Exactly right. Right. But it doesn't shrink the range of possibilities. So.
But it selects out of the possibilities that which does happen.
Yeah, but sort of, remember, he's in all these other worlds.
Yeah.
So if he select, maybe it'd be easy to think of those other worlds as concrete worlds just for a moment, right? And so he's in there and they're all concrete beings, and then he says, so like, look, if I help these guys out, I'm going to hurt those guys over there.
Then every possibility God is doing. And so we don't need God at that. Why do we need God in this?
In a way.
Well, seriously, why do we need God in all of this? Because possibilities are imposing on God. So take out the middleman.
Right. So we don't need God for possibility.
No, we don't. We have all possible worlds.
I'm on board. I agree.
Okay.
So sort of the reason I believe in God, or one should believe in God, is not because, hey, we need an explanation of possibility. I don't think you need any explanation of that at all, any more than you need an explanation of mathematics or logic or any of the disciplines that have necessary truths in them, right? Or any other necessary truth. What's necessary is unchangeable by God. And I think that's a really rather common view among theists, right? The unusual view is that God actually shapes logical space in some way.
Right.
There are those who think that, but that's the unusual position.
Right. So, focus it down then to this world. How does your concept of all the real possibilities affect your view of God's providence in this world?
Right. I think what God can do is he can modify things in worlds. So answer prayers, maybe, respond to people's suffering, help in various ways, but he can't make it impossible that you go through those things. So maybe it's enough, right? This is me thinking out loud now, okay? Maybe it's enough that God just reduces all actual suffering, right? Maybe that's enough. He doesn't have to reduce all possible suffering. That wouldn't address the problems of evil, right? It's sort of a pastoral thought. I feel better if I can think that God would at least actually get rid of all the suffering.
But certainly your concept of God's providence is significantly more ephemeral, more wispy than traditional theists.
I'll say this, it is a problem for the view I want to defend. That is, it's really hard to get a robust view of divine providence given everything else I want to say.